As the Reserve Bank of India has stopped the use of what the RBI termed an unauthorized route for making business-to-business or B2B card payments, India's card payment companies are on tenterhooks. Even as the RBI in its advisory issued on Thursday did not pinpoint any card service company in particular, world's largest payment processor, Visa, has admitted having received the central bank's directive. While referring to the central bank regulation, Visa termed it to be an industry-wide request. However, financial experts Republic Business spoke with said after the recent Paytm fiasco, RBI's action on card service providers involves a larger ecosystem.
RBI again has come with a new move. After the Paytm fiasco, RBI has now said that both Visa and Mastercards have to stop their payments done by commercial establishments to vendors or recipients through BPSPs. So what are BPSPs? Business Payment Solution Providers as BPSPs. They are intermediary companies which enable the process of transaction when a commercial establishment pays through its credit card.
As per the RBI, the card company in question was routing commercial payments through a third-party intermediary who didn't comply with the RBI payment and customer identification norms. So, who are these third-party players who are violating RBI norms? And what is the central bank's directive to card companies?
A commercial credit card is a credit card issued to an organization. Now, these organizations generally, for their regular payments, use IMPS, NEFT, or RTGS. But certain companies do have corporate credit cards. Now, when it comes to corporate credit cards, these are either issued by the banks themselves or by third-party fintech companies, which are payment banks or companies which are licensed by RBI to sell third-party credit cards. Now, when these commercial credit cards owned by corporations make their payments to the end recipient, sometimes or many a times, the end recipient is not having his or her KYC done, and it may not be an individual, it can be a business payment done to an end recipient who can be an individual or a corporate or an organization. That entity's KYC may not be fully or properly done. So what has RBI issued as a notice? RBI has told Visa and Mastercard, till further instructions, ensure that these payments traveling through commercial credit cards issued to corporations or organizations do not make payment to establishments. Now let's remember why this is happening.
The central bank has said that commercial payments routed through a third party raised two concerns. One was a large amount of funds being pooled into an account of the intermediary and transactions being processed without adequate information on who the funds were going to. The RBI said it has asked the card network to keep vendor payments from commercial cards under abeyance, as it would examine the matter. For you, the end user, what does the RBI directive mean?
Now let's say I run an organization and I make my regular payments. I could either do it through a check, RTGS, NEFT, IMPS. That's perfectly fine, no problem with that. Now, if I'm making the payment through a credit card, which is in the name of my company, and now I am using an intermediary BPSP to make my payment or directly paying it to the vendor, all such vendor payments from commercial credit cards have been asked to be put on hold. Why? Despite thousands of crores that are getting transacted in the RBI gateway through RTGS, IMPS and stuff, RBI as a regulator is rightly worried about the fact that the end use or the end recipient of these money may not be the beneficiaries who have proper KYC, or the money is probably not going to the right person, or probably the money is getting laundered. Now, as per the AML guidelines, as per the KYC guidelines, RBI is supposed to be a regulator who is supposed to check on the KYC of all stakeholders and parties involved in the transaction. At the same time, they should ensure that any practice that is likely to increase or enhance money laundering should be curbed.
Even as the central bank has said it has not placed any restriction on the normal usage of business credit cards, experts gauge impact of RBI's red flag to B2B card payments through business payment solution providers.
Let us understand, more than 20,000 crores of transaction is happening every month through these channels. So all the intermediaries who are enabling such transaction need not be fake. But RBI has a needle of suspicion that all is not clean, all is not transparent. So what has RBI done? Put a hold, put all these transactions on abeyance till further notice. So if you are a company which is having a corporate credit card and you're going to make your payment through the corporate credit card, through an intermediary BPSP to another vendor or a non-registered person whose identity is probably not KYC compliant or otherwise, it would not go through. For any further clarifications on this, the commercial establishment is likely to be asked to contact the BPSPs. Remember, all these fintech companies which act as a BPSP are regulated by RBI under the guidelines of the PAPG, the Payment Aggregator Payment Gateway Guidelines. So they have to be compliant, and it's a regulatory whip. RBI has issued a very strict order, and I'm sure Visa and Mastercard are communicating to their customers that if you have a corporate commercial credit card, your payments to other organizations, other recipients are not going to go through, and specifically if it's through a BPSP.
With just over 2 weeks ever since Paytm came under the RBI scanner, questions were first raised over the fragile fintech, and now fingers are being raised on the violations by India's card services companies and the intermediaries. Experts say, as reported by Republic Business First, only the much needed RBI intervention can streamline the nation's financial services sector.